Hi, everybody. All right, I've just got a quick topic for you today. Just a little bit of a detail about the quadratic formula. So, as a reminder, this is the quadratic formula, right? This is in your notes a bit earlier. Okay, so the quadratic formula. As a reminder, there's a special part of the quadratic formula that it gets its own name, and it's called the discriminant. Okay. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So to do that, I need you to find what is, at least currently, page 30 in our note packet. Okay, it should look something like what you're seeing on the screen right now. And so I'm just going to write the discriminant up at the top here. Discriminant. And the discriminant is just the b squared minus 4ac part of the quadratic formula. Okay, so we're just going to focus on that. So I know the directions say use the quadratic formula to solve, all right, even if it's factorable. But what we're actually going to do is, instead of using the quadratic formula, we're just going to calculate the discriminant. And then we're gonna use the quadratic formula. Okay? So, and there's a reason why, I promise. There's a method to my madness. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna figure out what b squared minus 4ac is. By the way, as a quick reminder, in case this is still something you need a little refresher on, that ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, that's your ABC. That's how you figure out your ABC. Your ABC here would be like saying 0 equals x squared minus 4x plus 3. So your A is like that first number, your B is your second number, and your C is your third number. As long as you keep things in that order, squared term, linear term, constant, you're good. Okay, so at any rate, your discriminant, I'm just going to use a capital D just for today to make it simpler for the word we're writing. So the discriminant is b squared, so that's negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 3. Okay, so the discriminant is, and by the way, what I would recommend you do is just type all of this in your calculator. Okay? You can certainly do it in your head. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just going to go calculator. Negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times, hold on, 3. All right, so 4. Okay, so the discriminant's 4. We're going to do the discriminant for all three, and then we're going to solve, okay? All right, the discriminant for this second one, again, this is like we have 0 equals x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay, so we've got another a equals 1, b is negative 4, and c is 4. Okay, so we've got a discriminant equal to negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. Okay, so the discriminant equals negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. Okay, 0. Interesting. All right, and then our last one. So notice I'm making y 0 in each of these to just get myself set up for solving later. Okay, discriminant, and our A is 1, B is at negative 4, and C is 6. So the discriminant is negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6. So the discriminant is negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6. Negative 8. All right. Now, the nice thing is we're going to use the quadratic formula, but it's going to be way easier to deal with because we already did like the hardest part. And remember that the quadratic formula is the opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac. That's the discriminant, all over 2a. Okay, so for number 1, x would be the opposite of negative 4. So it would be 4 plus or minus 4 over 2. Right, because I just took that discriminant number and put it there. Okay? Check that out. The square root of 4, because that's what's under the square root, is a perfect square. So this is x equals 4 plus or minus 2 divided by 2. And remember, we want the positive and the negative version. So 4 plus 2 divided by 2. 4 minus 2 divided by 2. So it looks like I get 6 divided by 2. And I get 2 divided by 2. I'm a little short on space, but it looks like I'm going to get two solutions, and they're going to be x equals 3 and x equals 1. Okay? All right, next one, x equals opposite of b, so 4 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2. Okay, this one's a little different because I'm going to get 4 plus or minus nothing divided by 2. Now, technically, you could still split this up into a positive and negative, but 4 plus 0, that's the same thing as 4 minus 0. So either way, I'm going to get the number 2. So I really just got one solution, and that solution is x equals 2. All right, last one. X equals opposite of b, so it's going to be 4 again, plus or minus the square root of negative 8 over 2. And by the way, the reason why these were 2 is because a is 1. So really it's like 2 times 1, which is just 2. Huh. Now we haven't talked a ton about this, but if you went to type this in your calculator, square root of negative 8. Here, I'll do it. Second, square root negative 8. See how the calculator's like non-real answers? That's because this is not a real number, okay? There's something called imaginary numbers that we might talk about later. But for now, you can't do that. Okay, like you can't take the square root of a negative number. So how many solutions are there? There are 0. So there's just no real solution. Okay, so what did we learn through all of this work? Okay, you may not have noticed this, but I'm going to show you right now. In number 1, the discriminant was a positive number. In number 2, the discriminant was 0. And in number 3, the discriminant was negative. Okay, it doesn't matter what negative number it was, but here, I'm going to highlight this for you. Negative number 0, 4. Okay, that is actually really, really helpful information because whenever you get a positive number in the discriminant, that means you're guaranteed to get 2 solutions that are real. If the discriminant is 0, that means you're going to get 1 solution. And if it's negative, that means that there are no real solutions. So when you're solving quadratic equations with the quadratic formula, that can be really, really helpful because it'll let you know how many answers or solutions you're supposed to get. All right. Well, there's certainly more practice for quadratic formula coming up for you, but hopefully this helps you know how many, you can use this particular pattern to help you figure out how many answers you're going to get every time you approach a problem with the quadratic formula. All right, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you jotted all this stuff down in your notes, and we'll see you again soon. Okay.